Hello and welcome to Ketter Farms. We're back with another episode of UMRV, Upper Mississippi River Valley. And I've been gone for a little bit here. I got real sick for a week or so there, and I've been recovering over the weekend and the early part of this week, and we're back at it now finally. So I appreciate the patience if you're a longtime viewer of this series like I know many of you are. We are officially into the end of March here, which means it's time to start getting the planting equipment out and ready. April should be when we can start hitting the fields and getting our corn in. And I started pulling this equipment out with the intent of setting it up, getting ready to go planting. And I've just realized, I think we've outgrown it, to be honest. I think it's time for us to trade in this entire setup here. The 7810 has been a staple in this series. It's been my workhorse tractor that we've used for a lot of miscellaneous jobs around the farm. However, we're going to trade all of this in right now. Boom, it's gone, just shy of $90,000 for the trade-in, which is great. Not enough to quite afford the stuff I want to replace it with, but that's okay because the dairy has been doing great here. We're going to come in here and I'm going to take out a fairly sizable loan again. We'd almost paid it off. We were down into about $450,000 worth of debt probably, but what we need some money for here is we're going to take out the loan in order to buy ourselves a brand new 8RX. We're going to start bringing in some modern, awesome equipment into this series, and y'all might know if you've talked to me in any of my live streams and such that the 8RX is my favorite tractor here in real life. We're going to get a row crop version of this. We're going to upgrade the engine. We're going to toss all the goodies on there. And this is Sid Modding's 8RX. And the main reason we're grabbing that is because I'm also going to pair this up with his fertilizer tanks. When planting corn, it helps out to be able to apply the remaining amount of liquid nitrogen while we're planting. So I'm going to go ahead and grab these tanks as well. Plus, I just think it looks awesome when we do this. And then I don't know if I've quite got enough money for it, but we're going to be getting a lease/demo here on a bigger planter. We're going to be picking up this one here. And let's see if I don't have the money to lease. Oh my goodness. I wish it would at least tell me what the least cost is going to be. I'm just going to grab some extra money here. We'll take us up to an even 1 million on the loan. I should be able to lease it for this. And the reason I'm leasing this is partially because I'm not sure I'm going to keep it. We're going to try it out here. If I like it, we'll keep it. If I don't, we may end up getting rid of it. So I'm going to get the options on it that I would want just because I think it looks cool. This is the option that works with the 8RX. It has the liquid fertilizer line come up to the front. We might as well grab this trailer hitch just in case. And that's going to be $22,000 for the lease. We'll go for it. It's worth the money for how much faster this is going to go. And I just realized our spawn point for equipment is back here. Oops. All right, let's fire this thing up and see if we can get these tanks on to start with. Trying to remember exactly where these hook up. There we go. And I reset that planter back over into the yard. So let's see if I can get over there and get that all hooked up. And there we go, just like that. Looks like we've got everything hooked up. I'm gonna bring this thing over here into our shed. We have all of our leftover supplies in here. And if we're lucky, I should be able to get this in. Now I've got some herbicide sitting here. I wanna make sure we don't accidentally put that into our liquid tanks. So I'm going to go ahead and just slide that over to the other side here. That should keep us from making any big mistakes. I'm going to load up any seed that I've got back here first off. Oh, looks like we're going to grab some fertilizer next. I was hoping we'd grab this seed back here. There it is. All right, let's move on out. Now, I don't have enough to probably tackle our existing fields just yet. We are going to have to purchase a few more seeds and liquid fertilizer and stuff, but this will be enough for us to get things started and try it out. I've got quite a bit of money left over from our little banking exercise there, so I'm going to repay down my loans a little bit, and we'll skip ahead into April and be able to get started on all this work we've got. Our grass should be ready in April to start mowing, and our fields will be ready for some planting. We're here into April, just running a load of feed up to one of our barns. We've got just enough feed to get through another month on all of our barns, which is excellent. I'm actually quite excited about that, but we do need to get more hay and more silage going here very quickly. And a part of my thought process there is, while we're going to get a lot of corn growing, we're completely out of silage and hay at the moment. So I think what we're going to do is, after I cut all of the fields that we have right now as hay, or maybe I'll cut some of them as grass and we'll make haylage, because we can convert grass into silage as well. It's not the most efficient, but I think we're going to replace some of the existing grass fields with alfalfa and clover fields, just to mix it up, have some different crops. I do believe that one of those is better than the other. I can't remember. I was looking at the data in the map files at one point a while ago, and I went, why would you ever plant the one over the other? And I can't remember now if it was clover or alfalfa. So it was close. It wasn't a big deal. So we may plant a field of both and just see how it goes. I think what we're going to do, since we planted this large field of grass over here on the far side of the farm to my left, is we will plant all the smaller fields in either clover or alfalfa. So I'm going to park this guy here, let him start filling up. I did disable selling the digestate out of this production for the time being, just so that we can start to build up a little bit. And this is going to allow me to start spreading that on our grass fields as soon as we harvest them all, which I think is something we want to do. We do have the manure spreader is full of some regular slurry at the moment, or has some of the regular slurry in it at the moment. So we'll use all that up and then start spreading that digestate moving forward. That'll be a nice close the gap on this entire digestate system that we spent so many episodes working on getting everything set up for. However, before we get into any of that, we're going to jump into our new tractor setup. And I did notice this planter seems to be floating a little bit back here on us, unfortunately. Hopefully that won't cause us any issues as we get out into the field here. But I do want to get planting our corn before we lose track of it. That's going to take a while. We might as well have the worker doing its thing, and then we can get the mower out and start working on some of the mowing in the background, because that's going to require a little bit more hands-on. The mowing goes pretty quick, and we have to bale it up and haul it up to the silo. Now, I'm tempted to swap out of doing baling and get a loading wagon of some kind. I don't feel like it's extremely realistic. I don't see a lot of that style in the US. I see a lot more people baling it up, but maybe we'll switch gears and get a loading wagon at some point. I don't know. Maybe we'll just bale it right now. We've got a baler. We'll bale it this first run, and we'll look into some different equipment as we get into the next cutting. We should be able to get at least 3 cuttings off of our fields across the year, since we've got this nice spring cut ready to go. And here we are. We're going to plant this field first. This was our soybean field last year, I believe. So we're going to go ahead and put corn in here, and then we've got that other big field right across the way. We're going to do corn on corn in that field this year. Let's just hop right in here. We're going to create a course play field work job. We'll do 2 headland passes, and I honestly don't care what angle it takes, because I want the course to succeed. We're gonna hit go on first waypoint, and this should work out easily enough for us. We're not in the best spot for unfolding this thing though. Is it gonna hit that telephone pole? It looks like it's gonna pull it forward first. Perfect. And there we go. We're off to the races. Looks good. I feel pretty confident that this thing's going to be able to figure things out. I just want to make sure I've got the automatic rate on. It looks good. Corn on loam. Everything's tracking. We're ticking through that fertilizer very visibly. That's okay. We can always bring some more out here. We do have the liquid nurse trailer all set up back in the shed there. And I can go pick up some pallets of seed as needed. So we've got the main work done. I'm going to hop out here while we're on the corner, and it's easy to jog back up here to the farm, and we'll get going on some grass work. All right, we're going to back this thing up out of the shed here. I've got everything hopefully set up. We do need some fuel though before we get going, so maybe what we should do is run up here to the yard and get the fuel topped off on this thing before we get started for the season. No sense being empty as we go into this work, or I guess we're not quite empty, we're half full, but still. Oh, is this thing a little bit too wide to get through here? It is. Oh, look at that. Well, you learn something new every day, folks. I have to say this thing has been a little bit easier to drive using the steering wheel than when I was doing it with a keyboard and mouse. I find that I'm not spinning myself out quite as much with the rear steering and how sensitive it can be. So we're just playing around a little bit with some interior views today, just for the fun of it, trying to avoid crashing into things, as I crash into probably the 6th thing since I backed this out of the shed. So we'll continue working on that, folks. But we're here, we're gonna get some fuel, maybe? Well, let's swing around here and see. Maybe the fuel's on the other side on this thing? There it is, refuel. Perfect, okay. I don't know what I was doing wrong there, but sometimes it just takes a few tries. Now, I'm gonna start with these fields up by the farm here, the smaller fields. All of our grass fields are ready. But if I start with these smaller fields up here, I believe I'm going to be able to get going on changing these over to alfalfa very quickly, which is what I'd like to do. So we'll jump in here. 4 is what I usually do on this, and let's see how it does. Looks great. And I am going to leave the conditioner on to start with. We may take some grass and turn it into silage before we're done here today. But I do want to start with that hay because we are short on hay for keeping the TMR mixer going. I've got just a little bit of silage in the harvest store right now from bales that we'd purchased. So there we go. And we got just a couple other changes we want to make on the farm today as we keep things going. And this is honestly just because it came out and it happened. But we're going to go ahead and come in here and pick up this Farmall 1066 because we can. I'm going to put the front rates on there just because I like how it looks. We're going to buy one of these. This is going to be our new feeding tractor. And then I'm going to take the small John Deere that we have here just because I love this 4440. And we're going to put the 4440 on the baler. And that's how we're going to switch things up a little bit here to justify having a new tractor. So let me run this thing around to the yard. I'll jump in the Farmall and we'll get that hooked up and run a load of feed up with it just to play around with it. Here we go. Oh, this thing's got a pretty decent engine noise on it too, which I appreciate. And it is hydro, so there's no gears or anything. I know I've seen a few people complaining, wishing that they'd put the non-hydro version on here. That's all right. I'll be fine with it, I think. And we're gonna just run this right back here, hook up to our feed, and I'm gonna go ahead and run this feed over to a barn right now just to make sure everything's working. We're not gonna run into any issues. Looks like it's pulling this just fine. Look at that tractor. It looks nice. No complaints. I mean, this is a mod that we had out there before. It's just nice to have stuff like this in, I'll say base game. It's not base game. It's $1.50 to buy the mod to add it on. I got a key for free from Giants for being a partner, so I do appreciate those perks. I probably would have bought it for $1.50 though anyway. It does also include the more modern Farmall. If we look in the small tractor list, I'm pretty sure it's also this Farmall C series that's come in this pack as well. It is interesting that they're calling this a Farmall 1066 when it's actually the International, but I'm not gonna split hairs. Well, I guess I just did. So that's going to use up all of the feed that we've got on hand at the moment. I've got just enough feed to move forward one more day here, or week, however you want to look at it, in all of the barns. But we're going to need to make some more before we can get too much farther ahead than that. But that's okay. I don't need to move the time forward because we got lots of work going on the farm at the moment. My next job here that I want to get going is I'm going to copy the course on this mower, and then I'm going to jump out as long as we're here. We're going to get into the 4440 and start this up, and let's see if I can paste that course in. We're going to go over here to the start and start baling up the hay that we're mowing right now, and this is going to be critical for us this month to get our feed moving. And we can just start right here at the beginning. Everything should be good to go. I just want to make sure that this tractor's actually going to be able to pull this baler. It should be right in line with the horsepower requirements, but you know how that works sometimes. Depends on the mods, depends on, I don't know, the alignment of the moon in Farm Sim sometimes, but we've got it going. We're making hay. That's looking good to me. Now, one of the things that we've got here that I always forget about is this big seed tender, and we've got a couple of compartments of seed, and it looks like a bulk of a compartment, or 66% of a compartment of lime left in here from previous year's experiences. So I'm going to go ahead and get this run out to the field here. I'm almost positive that our planter has gotten full, and we're going to need to refill it here. And I'm just hoping it's in a position where we can get to it relatively easily. It's already doing the second headland passes though, so that's encouraging. We've got this big corner piece that always gets left over here, and I don't see the second headland pass up this way, which means it got stuck somewhere on the second pass. I can see over there where it got stuck. I think things are dry enough. I'm going to drive out there with the semi. I'm not too worried about it. It's going to beat getting everything tore down and bringing that back up here right now. Interesting that it decided to fold it all up. We're going to pipe out here, and I will have to get into the tractor though and open up the covers. I think that should work. And then let's see if I can use this fancy thing to adjust. Ooh, I can use the joystick to move the auger back there. And oh, it's actually already in a good enough position to start filling things up. I'll back up just a smidge to make that a more realistic fill. Looking good. Well, in that case, let's go ahead and put the pipe in. There we go. I think that's bringing it back in. Perfect. Let's get this semi out of here. Probably wasn't the best idea to drive it out here in the field. Looks like we're leaving a lot of tire tracks, probably leading to a bunch of compaction. But it was the fastest way to get things back on track. And before we leave, actually, I'm just realizing this worker is completely shut down right now. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure they know what they're doing. Nearest waypoint, does that sound accurate? I'm going to trust that that guy knows what he's doing. Probably misfounded trust based on my past experience with hired help all around here, but we're going to get moving with the semi. Make sure we're staying out of the way. As long as he starts curving back towards me, yeah, I think he's on a headland pass. A good deal. Put these gears to use. I think this semi, more than most that I've played with, responds the best to having to shift between the gears as you move around. It doesn't do a great job if you're in a really high gear. It really bogs down, so I love that about this semi. I think it's probably would have been one of my favorite semis in the game thus far. And I'm just running this back up into the yard so that I can more easily get rid of it. I don't know if I'm going to need to put seed into the planter again before we're done with that field. I don't know. I didn't pay that close of attention to how much seed we'd gone through on the headlands already. I am going to leave it hooked up though, just in case. The biogas plant's got a lot of unloading to do still. I have another semi down here that we're starting to load up a manure tanker with. So let's jump down into this and see how it's doing. Looks like I've emptied this front pit. I'm going to back ourselves up here and we're going to empty the back pit. Now, amusingly, I have not yet automated this, but I did do all of the work with the landscaping tool to create a bit of a road back here. I don't need to have the truck running to fill it. And so you can see we've got a bit of a path carved out of this hill. It's not pretty, folks, but unfortunately with the placeable here and the placeable here, there's only so much you can do to level the terrain. And this is what we ended up with, but it works great. I've not had any problems running over this. It's a little bumpy, but it is what it is so that we can get our auto drive course brought in through this gate, and from the BGA here we'll have a nice loop as we continue to get our manure unloaded. Now that we've caught up with our manure, it's been a lot easier to kind of keep things moving. And then obviously this is where the digestate's going to come out, so I'm going to have to back in here with the tractor to get it. We might actually smooth out a much bigger area over here, so I can create a loop with the tractor to automate getting manure for spreading on fields and such, because that's one job that I don't want to be doing by hand. So with all of that out of the way, it's time to hook up the bale trailer, which is right up alongside the building here, a little bit tight actually. We're going to abuse our farm sim physics to help us hook up and pull this away from the wall. And I can't remember what the positions are and such all the time, so I'm going to go ahead and look at the menu there, get our trailer all set up. It looks like the baler is still going, which is always a good sign. It's one lap behind the mower, at least. It looks like we're on our last headland strip there because the mower's on back and forth rows. So I'm going to take this opportunity to pick up all these bales, and we're going to bring those right on over to the harvest store as soon as I get them picked up so that we can start making more TMR and managing that whole process. It's largely automated now that we've got the TMR mixer built into the harvest store. That is one quality of life improvement that I'm not ashamed to have made. I'm not the biggest fan of having to combine all the different components manually and figure that all out, so doing that automatically has been a lifesaver with this many cows, especially with this enhanced animal system mod. Having to feed the, 1,500 cows that we've got with so much food is very time consuming at times, most of the time. This works out really well though, and I know that I could consolidate this down, get rid of the baler and this bale trailer, and just have to worry about a loading wagon. That's why I keep thinking about it. But quite honestly, picking up the bales and dropping them off with the auto load trailer is not that big of a deal. It's not a huge pain for me, so we might just kind of keep going with this. AI worker Philip blocked by an object. I think that guy's upset because I drove in front of him sort of when he was turning around. Yeah, look at that. Why are you just stopping then? I don't understand. Normally they would at least try to keep going. See if that does it for him. Looks like he's going now. So I'm going to head back over here. We'll grab whatever bales are left. Now the tractor's going back and forth on some of these rows, it looks like. And I will take the hay bales that we have up to the harvest store so that we can start feeding the cows. Just to come down here and make sure I didn't push any out into the ditch. Sometimes when you're turning around, they end up sliding off and going down there, but I don't see any. I think I can actually pick up the bale that's done hanging off of the back of the tractor if we get close enough. There we are. We'll make our lives easy and get moving here up to our harvester finally. I feel like I've said this a bunch of times now in a row. My apologies. We get a little bit out of practice when we take a little bit of time away from the game on our YouTube commentary. We've got this all set up as a bale trigger, so my intention is to just drive right on up in this area somewhere, and let's see if I can put this into transport position, and then is it Y to unload? Drag these over here, Y to drop them, Y to go back into a mode. We'll pull up and away from all of those bales and put it back into operating position. Got to pull these up into the front zone here. We've got that going. And if we just double check, we're now producing TMR again. Silage is going to be the problem at some point here, but hay has definitely been our limiting factor overall. So we are going to keep going. I can even buy some more silage bales if I need to be honest. That might be the easier play just because I want to make sure that we have enough hay later on. Obviously, I can buy hay too, but right now, while we're making hay out in those fields, I do want to figure out if we're going to have enough hay production to keep up with a year here. So just to make life easier for the moment, I am going to buy one more stack of bales. They should spawn right here in front of our harvester and keep that TMR mixing for a bit. You'll see in the bottom our UC hook messages for the different fill types. The unit convert mod seems to have a little bit of an issue with the more recent patches here. I haven't had a chance to dig into that and see if there's a new version available. I think I saw a Facebook message from Thundar saying he was aware of it and going to be working on a fix. It's not a game-breaking bug for me, so I haven't had a chance to look into that. And I'll bring this back out here. We don't have enough bales to really bother with. I see we just dropped one there. So I'll just leave this here out of the way. We'll be back to pick this up in a bit. Our mower is making great progress. We'll be done with this field in no time and able to move on to the next. And while all those other jobs are going, it makes sense to do a little bit of our in-between management. Like I was saying, this is one of those jobs that I could be starting to automate now, but I've been kind of just manually running the slurry tanker around. It's become less stressful than it was originally. It's actually kind of fun now to just jump in and haul this tank up between the different slurry pits and get it all filled up. It's not the most glamorous job, but it is a job that needs to get done, and we've got everything really streamlined now for it. Both of those tanks are now empty on slurry, so all I have to do is haul this right up here to empty out this third barn, which is one of the easiest to get into actually. We just have to pull up right alongside it here and it'll unload me right here. So I'll go ahead and power that down. We should have enough TMR now to haul another load up to one of the barns. So we're gonna hop into our new 1066 here and see about filling this up. Oh, we don't actually have that much TMR. What's going on with that? Is it just a time thing? Yeah, we're just not running the time very fast at the moment, so it's not making the TMR that fast. No worries, we've got plenty of feed here. We've got one more full day's worth to move forward. We've got more than a day's worth here and well over a day's worth here. Not a problem at all. You can see that this barn, which is the barn A, I want to say, we're getting close to reproduction. Oh, I'm sorry, this is the little barn right next to us. We've still got a few months left to go before they have babies and we can start making money. The top barn here, I don't know what happened. We used to just have 2 groups of cows up here. Now we've got 4. So they're all, some of them are 50 months, some of them are 49 months. I don't know when or what went on there, but they're a little bit more spread out than they used to be. That's all right. Everything seems to be working still, and we've got a lot of milk coming in from these cows, so I'm not complaining. This is the second time this guy has gotten stuck down here on the side hill and needed to be restarted. I'm a little bit surprised by that. I've run this guy on this course many times before now and never had to micromanage him like this. So that's, I don't know, it's very disappointing. Jumping back over here though into the new planter rig. Things are running great out here. Get rid of these annoying course play rinds. And yeah, look at this thing go. I'm digging it. I'm excited to finally be modernizing the farm, bringing the new equipment on board here. And speaking of finances, we've got a fair amount of money sitting there that we can pay down. No sense leaving it all in the bank account. We can get rid of more of our interest payments at the end of a given day. We're only at 655. We've been bringing in 250 or more in a given day, so we're in a pretty good spot. If we just look, yeah, 213 in April here. We brought in 691 in March, which is a ton of money. And back in December, we were bringing in 800 plus. So I imagine we're going to see a lot more money coming soon. You can see our biogas plant income has been a pretty steady 400,000 plus month by month as well. So we'll be out of debt here in no time. I do have my eye on some more fields, but we're farming a lot of ground as it is, and what I was thinking about doing, as cheesy as this sounds, is waiting to see if somebody put in some good crops that I wanted nearby, like this cornfield here in field 24, or farmland 22 as it may be. We might take out a loan and buy this for the $1.5 million. This is a nice, super large field, and it's already planted. It's got better than average yield expectancy, which means it's got some good terrain in here somewhere. And so we will likely be picking that up as we move forward a little bit. We can run across the way here and see that it's already been planted and growing. So we'll be able to come out here with, we've got that big sprayer, get it sprayed down, get it properly fertilized, get, caught up on all those kind of things, and be doing pretty good for ourselves. I'm enjoying that this planter seems to be making great progress across this field. This would have taken forever with that smaller planter that we had, and I'll be able to get moving on the next field over in the next episode. I think we're going to wrap up today's episode here. I feel like we've been pretty successful. We've about got this cornfield done. We've about got this field over here mowed. And I'll get this all baled up and move this hay around, probably off episode, and we'll get the mower moving on a new field. We'll get the planter moving on the new field, and we'll probably start seeding some alfalfa in the next episode. Hopefully you've enjoyed the episode. If you have, hit that like button. It helps me out a lot. That's all for today. Ketterk out. And I have to say, this thing is, oops, it's so much easier to try.